My name is Jorge Viera. I am a student in Tech Milenio Campus Las Torres, and this is my third evidence for the course Contemporary World. Globalization. Globalization is the interconnection of countries in political, economical, and social aspects. It consists of moving business and investment outside of local and national markets to foreign markets. Globalization leads to an increase of international trade as well as a cultural exchange. Some of the positive aspects of globalization are the following. Free trade is nourished because tariffs, value-added taxes, subsidies, and other barriers between countries are reduced. Competition between companies of different countries drives prices down. Foreign investment and technology sharing helps poor countries economically develop to improve the living quality of citizens. New transportation services and mass communication systems like the internet are also a benefit caused by globalization. The interaction between cultures also helps countries know more about other countries. Not only does this help with cultural exchanges, but it also fosters cultural growth. Globalization also represents the creation of new jobs from companies that invest in plants and factories in developing countries. Despite all the previously mentioned factors, there are also negative aspects of globalization. Some of these include big international companies have the ability to avoid taxes by recurring to tax havens in other countries. Even when there are pacts like the NAFTA and the TPP, there are still a lot of countries, in Europe for example, that have barriers like value-added taxes on imports. Companies that build factories in developing countries usually take advantage of the low social class. They pay miserable wages in unfair working conditions. Plus, because work is so cheap on these poor countries, developed countries lose jobs because they get exported. This leads to workers in developing countries facing a threat of job exporting. In conclusion, globalization is infamously known for making the rich richer and making the poor poorer. Trading. Trading is an economic exchange involving buying and selling of goods and services. The medium of these exchanges is usually money, but it can also involve service transactions between both parties. There exists only one global organization that manages trading between countries, the World Trade Organization. The World Trade Organization is an international organism that manages the trading rules and agreements between countries. Its objective is to help producers of goods and services, exporters and importers conduct their business. They meet this goal through negotiations, committees, meetings, and sections to monitor national trade policies and handle trade disputes. The decisions are made in a consensus that take place in meetings held at least every 2 years. Different committees made up of representatives of the member countries take part in this consensus. The World Trade Organization started out as the General Agreement of Tariffs and Trade, established in 1947. It began as a series of trade negotiations aiming at facilitating global trading after World War II. It remained as the General Agreement until the Uruguay Round negotiations from 1986 to 1994, where it was officially created and named World Trade Organization. Currently, 164 countries make it up, meaning almost the entire globe. I think the World Trade Organization is important because it is one of the few aspects of the economic, political, and social systems where there is only one organization. Politically, there is the UN and the EU and the NATO, etc. Economically, there is the World Bank, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, etc. There is usually never a union because some regions of the world have different interests and ideologies than other regions. But here, in the World Trade Organization, it is different because it includes almost the entire globe and there is only one organization that manages these trading rules. That's why I think it is very important. The digital revolution. The digital revolution is known for the development and upgrading of analog, electronic, and mechanical devices to a digital technology available in our hands today. This era started during the 80s and keeps on going. Some of the disadvantages of this revolution are the following. Most of the people of modern society have become attached and dependent to their smartphones. It is becoming more difficult for us to retain information because we tend to look everything up on the internet. It is harder to concentrate with so many unnecessary distractions surrounding us constantly. The internet becomes addictive and our brain can even suffer changes. People that navigate on the web for long periods of time tend to fail at decision making and short-term memory. Privacy is disappearing completely. Constant communications makes us anxious. And finally, we're becoming less empathetic. Now, some of the advantages of the digital revolution is that people are acquiring a lot of skills at very young ages, stimuli response, analysis, filtering information, among others. Programs like video games help children develop new skills. Information flows faster around the globe in massive amounts. We have the opportunity to learn and discover about many different topics with just one click. Terrorism. Terrorism is a word used to define violent acts made by organizations that are against a specific religion or against an ideology. It is defined in the UK Terrorism Act of 2000 as the use of threat of violence for the purpose of advancing a political, religious, or ideological cause. Technology benefits terrorism in a very big way. The terrorist groups are now able to share their radical ideas on the internet, and thousands of people can hear them. This helps them spread their message. Their main tools are the social media. These powerful platforms allow terrorists to communicate, to make propaganda, and recruit new sympathizers. Plus, every terrorist attack is similar to a dramatic representation, in which the internet is the stage.